Welcome back. This is Monty once again from DPL Surveillance Equipment. Today it seems like it's going to be a very nice day out here in Paradise in Camarillo, California. Nice and sunny out here. It's even going to be warm finally for those people who want to go out to the beach or just hang out outside and do a picnic or something. So it should be very nice. Seems like it's going to be maybe 80 degrees or so. Which should be nice for a lot of different outside activities. So, considering that, again, our condolences go out to the people in Indonesia. They had since the earthquake, which triggered a tsunami, and the people in Philippines, they're trying to recover from a devastating typhoon. There's still people trying to recover from fires in California. There's a number of real issues. Excuse the noise, you guys. One second. So there's a number of people who are trying to deal with and recover from some very real issues that are going on. Elon Musk, I know our heart goes out to him. He had to cough up $40 million to settle a suit with the SEC, even though he's a billionaire. So it's probably extra money he had in one of his pockets. When you have $1 billion or more, and you have to pay a fine of $40 million, you lose a little bit of sleep, not a whole lot. Anyway, he's probably going to have to step down as chairman for 3 years, but I don't know if that's going to preclude him from working with some persons or people within his company to try to make sure everything stays on track. So that'll be a token gesture or effort on his part to make it look like he's separated from his company or companies, when in actuality I can't see him not having a vital role and continue to provide his input. Okay, so what else is going on? Our stupid U.S. government is continuing with the tariffs and such. I look at a lot of Americans who were duped into believing that the wage increases were going to really help them out are realizing that the money is not going to go very far, unfortunately, when you have tariffs that completely wipe out your wage gains. Increases in gasoline prices, for instance, that alone negates most of you guys' wage increases. Not to mention when the grocery bills go up, because the farming industry overall, the farming sector, is going to be losing a lot of ability to export their grains and crops and soybeans and wheat and everything to China, for instance. That alone is a devastating situation for American farmers. Not to mention Russia coming online with farming acreage equivalent to twice the size of the United States. So when you're harvesting areas that are equivalent to the size of your country times 2, that's going to have an impact as well. So anyway, there's a number of different things going on, and it doesn't look like the most positive situation for a lot of people who are honestly struggling and trying to make headway in certain areas. Let's see, who am I, by the way? Oh yeah, my name is Monty Henry, owner of DPO Surveillance Equipment. I run a full-service surveillance and security equipment company. We have lifetime guarantees and warranties on all the products. We have a humongous media library. Our media library includes articles and podcasts and blogs and demonstration videos. Go there, take advantage of the free content. This podcast will be included, by the way. And what else? We have new products, tons of new products, tons of used products. The used products will save you money. The new products will make sure that you have the most state-of-the-art, lifetime guaranteed and warranted law enforcement grade technologies out there on the market. And you'll be in good company of a lot of other law enforcement institutions and a lot of universities and a lot of retail and corporate customers who purchased our products in the past, for instance. What else? We accept Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ethereum and Bcash in our shopping cart. So you crypto millionaires who, like me and my family, we made some investments 4 or 5 years ago and doing very, very well, thank you. That's our way of opting out of the fiat system, which is oppressing so many people, whether or not they know it or not or like it or not. The website is completely redesigned. Oh yeah, by the way, when you have zero debt and you owe absolutely no one because of your smart decisions in the crypto sector and being patient and being committed and persevering with it, you reap the rewards like we're reaping. So join the club, you guys, if you can. Learn about what's happening in the crypto space. Learn why a lot of people are very happy paying off car loans, paying off mortgages, paying off credit card issuers and such in the crypto space. When you have no fiat that you owe, absolutely no debt because of your crypto earnings and crypto profits, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It is absolutely taking place every day in our space. So what else is going on? The website is newly redesigned. Works great, looks good. State-of-the-art coding behind the website makes it optimized for mobile and portable devices. Looks good. Yeah, just 1 second. We have a small airport over here in Camarillo, and all of the guys, particularly on the weekends, they like to come out and fly their private planes around, which is cool. Going to have to check into that someday and see whether or not we can hitch a ride or do something to get access to some of those planes, go on some short trips or something. Let's see what else is going on. Let's get into today's article because it's going to tie up some loose ends, which further illustrate why it's important to keep focused on the cryptocurrency industry, Bitcoin and blockchain and such, and avoid the naysayers. Today's article is entitled, what is it entitled? Cryptocurrencies and blockchains, how are they doing after 10 years? Again, cryptocurrencies and blockchains, how are they doing after 10 years? Okay, now this article, I have to tell you, was written by The Economist. The Economist has absolutely no credibility in the cryptocurrency space. If I were you guys, I would ignore everything that The Economist has to say. They probably went on record saying that the internet wasn't going to amount to anything when it first came out, if I remember correctly. But yeah, some of these papers and media organizations, they have absolutely no idea of how to interview the right people from the right industries to get the right input. Instead, they have these stupid editors and reporters write up these silly articles that will add more confusion upon confusion as compared to giving you a real-world idea by actually sending people out into the field to see, so you'll know, like we know, my family and people, like we know, that in a practical sense, this is very real. So let's take a look at why I'm saying this. It wasn't supposed to have worked out like this. Bitcoin was created about a decade ago with the release of the original design paper, Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system under the pen name of Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin aimed to become a decentralized cryptocurrency and digital payment system that would enable the secure exchange of digital money without the need for central government authorities or financial intermediaries. It introduced the blockchain, which most everyone agrees is a truly brilliant architecture built on decades-old fundamental research in cryptography, distributed data, distributed computing, game theory, and other advanced technologies. How are they doing after 10 years? The September 1st issue of The Economist includes a special report on cryptocurrencies and blockchains, with 9 articles on the subject. The report's overview article doesn't mince words in articulating its overall assessment. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are useless. For blockchains, the jury is still out. That is the most stupid statement imaginable, mainly because, as we've told you guys countless times, and as we've demonstrated, as IBM has learned, as Microsoft have learned, as a number of companies have learned, you do not attempt to explain or come out or utilize or deploy a blockchain without Bitcoin, or vice versa. The reasoning is very simple. You have to be absolutely retarded to not get this, and the Economist knows better. If you have a blockchain that has all the attributes that make it important as a blockchain versus having just a regular stupid database, your blockchain has to have certain characteristics. At a minimum, it has to have Bitcoin or a cryptocurrency associated with it that's going to reward the miners to keep it peer-to-peer, to keep it secure, to keep it decentralized, to keep it immutable. In other words, if the government wants to go to IBM, if the government or the FBI wants to go to Microsoft, if the government or the FBI, the CIA, whoever wants to compel Amazon or anybody that's trying to deploy their own private blockchain, if you put enough pressure on those corporations or on those individuals, they will compromise the security. They will compromise the supposedly decentralized nature. They would try to compromise the attributes that make it important to use. If you compromise all of those attributes, you have nothing. You have absolutely nothing. Only an idiot would even consider that those private blockchains are duplicating the actual public original blockchain. The original blockchain is decentralized. It's peer-to-peer. It's redundant. It's censorship resistant. You can't go to anyone and try and compel them through a court order, a subpoena, or threat of imprisonment or anything to compromise the security or the way the original blockchain operates. It's that plain and simple. If you monkey around with a private blockchain, I don't care who puts their name on it. It's not the same. Okay, moving right along. And one last thing, you have to incentivize the miners who keep the blockchain decentralized and censorship resistant and peer-to-peer. You have to reward them with a cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin is that cryptocurrency. There is no two ways about it. Moving right along. It wasn't supposed to have worked out like this. Bitcoin began life, not surprisingly, around the time of the 2008 global financial crisis as a kind of techno-anarchist project to empower and protect individuals who shared a deep distrust of governments and large companies. Its original objective was the creation of a people's currency and an alternative global financial system not subject to interference from untrustworthy governments and banks. By the way, the reason why Marshall Islands is trying to get their own, is going to come out with their own cryptocurrency, the reason why Monrovia is going to institute their own cryptocurrency, the reason why Iran is looking into their own, the reason why Venezuela, Argentina, and Zimbabwe and all of these countries are struggling under the current economic system with dependence on U.S. banks and infrastructure. The reason why they're trying to get away from it is because of these very reasons. It's broken. It's a big scam. And it does more to take resources out of your country to limit and restrict what you can do. In the case of, for instance, Marshall Islands, they're claiming that, the IMF came out and said if you think about using cryptocurrencies, that's going to ruin your reputation and sever your relationship with the banks that are already pulling out. So in other words, all the banks, U.S. based banks and such, are pulling out of Marshall Islands, and you can Google this or go to my website, take a look at it for yourself. But they're abandoning that island because it's not profitable. So who wants to be involved with a financial system that takes a look at whether or not you can put money into their pockets in an attempt for them to make a profit, and then all of a sudden, when they finally realize you're not producing enough income for them, they abandon you. That's not a good economic model for anyone. So that's why all of these various countries are getting away from the way the U.S. and because U.S. banking system is dominant. It stretches all over the globe, and if you don't deal with these banks and their intermediaries, they will cut you off. But before they even cut you off, they'll monitor and surveil and restrict and make all these unusual demands of you, and you have nothing, no way to grow your economies. That's what happens. They take advantage. Then after you get into so much trouble, they come and rob you of all your resources. Moving right along. A decade later, it's barely used for its intended purpose. Relatively few vendors accept Bitcoins, put off by its volatility and shady reputation. Its decentralized nature and mining-based proof of work make it slow. Fewer than 10 transactions per second, compared to the tens of thousands handled by existing payment networks. Users must wrestle with complicated software to convert traditional money in and out of Bitcoin's ecosystem. I also have to let you guys know the white paper, the Bitcoin white paper, didn't make a mention of a time frame. Okay, so don't let the Economist mislead you into thinking that somehow Bitcoin it has to meet a certain deadline or something. Implementation of an alternative economic model based upon Austrian economics is not going to be implemented overnight. Okay, 10 years is nothing as compared to how long it took for people to get used to credit cards once they first came on the scene. 10 years is nothing as people moved from you name it, gold into dollars, and dollars into credit cards, and credit cards now into the next phase. I mean, on the larger scheme of things, it took a long time, and it takes a long time to build out an infrastructure so that people will actually have all the resources that they need, financial and otherwise, to utilize this alternative system. So again, Bitcoin is taking upon a major task in terms of allowing you guys to have all the things that you need. The Bitcoin wallets, the exchanges, particularly decentralized exchanges, which aren't controlled by anyone. Right now we have to rely upon centralized exchanges to a large extent. But the credit cards and the debit cards and the making sure that merchants set up barcoding so that you can use your wallet. Like me and my wife, we use our wallet. And I was just demonstrating just the other day at the gym to one of my fellow gym members how, when I open up my Bitcoin wallet and my credit card wallet issued from Coinbase, which is called Shift, and then my other credit card issued by BitPay, two Bitcoin companies, you see all the typical transactions that you guys would do, that you guys would have. Excuse the noise. Let me walk away from it. Gas for the car, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Lassen's, Target, Walmart. We walk in and out of those stores, and we walk up to the cash register, make our purchases just as quickly, just as easily, using our Bitcoin value that we've accumulated over the last 5 years, which is significant. So the bottom line is, if you have a tremendous amount of value because of your investments in cryptocurrencies, and you convert that into real-world products and things that you need, gas, food, clothing, there is no opportunity for anyone to question that, okay? At some point, you're taking care of every single thing that any other person would be taking care of for their family or business. It's the same end result, okay? So the Economist, again, has their head up their ass talking about it's useless. I can't imagine where we would be if I hadn't converted some retirement money into investments into Bitcoin 5 or 6 years ago. Okay, we would be struggling because the economy is so screwed up because of the government and what they're doing as far as looting all the coffers of the personal households and the business and the corporate. I mean, it's just a money grab out there, you guys. Trust me. When the going gets, they've ruined the economy. So a lot of businesses are definitely hurting. But I'm glad we made the transition into Bitcoin, and we have a lot of value stored up. And we use the Bitcoin credit cards and debit cards, and we use the Treasure Nano wallets and the various other tools to help us protect our wealth. Let's move right along. While Bitcoin's blockchain-based infrastructure is highly secure, okay, that's true, the exchanges that handle the conversion to fiat have been repeatedly hacked over the years, and once something goes wrong, there's no recourse or central authority that can fix it. If you've stored Bitcoins in an exchange that's been hacked, they're essentially lost. Similarly, if you accidentally erase or mislay your Bitcoin wallet, it's likely impossible to recover. The Bitcoin ecosystem doesn't offer the sort of financial protections that most consumers take for granted. Well, yeah, when you have a different model going on, I guess you got to adapt. You got to have a different mindset. If I give you $1 million and tell you have to, safeguard your money that I just gave you, you better take it seriously. So, yeah, Bitcoin gives you control over your money, okay? It allows you to make sure that you have unfettered access to your own money. You have to safeguard it. You have to know, for instance, that if you have a Bitcoin wallet and you lose the wallet, you have to understand that you get a backup passphrase and such, so that you can get another wallet and you can use that passphrase to unlock the new wallet. So the public ledger, which is the blockchain, it records. It's basically a ledger that it knows that this Bitcoin belongs to you, and until you spend it, it's still yours. It's still there on the public blockchain. You just have to unlock it with your new passphrase. So the Economist is not interviewing anybody, not demonstrating in any way how this really works. So this most stupid, childish analysis of this technology that I can think of. But that's why they don't use interviews from people from the Bitcoin and the blockchain space, because otherwise they'd have to rewrite these articles so they actually make sense. And just so you guys will know, most exchanges since Mt. Gox, they have realized, as a matter of public relations, they have to do something about when accounts get hacked. In other words, there's insurance companies out there that are backing up companies like Coinbase and others. Lloyd's of London has contracts with a lot of these exchanges, and exchanges themselves, even if they don't have insurance, they realize, as a matter of public relations, again, they have to look at how to refund people and make up for losses. Otherwise, you don't get repeat customers. No one is going to patronize these exchanges if they don't find out how to compensate people for losses that were no fault of the actual customers. And believe it or not, a number of exchanges have figured out how to refund people and compensate them so that going forward, you feel better about using those exchanges. And common sense, this is common sense, which a lot of you may not even know. When we transfer money from our Treasure wallet or from our Nano Ledger wallet, which is our own wallets that are offline, by the way, they can't be hacked when it's offline, obviously. But when you transfer money from your Treasure wallet onto an exchange, you only keep your money on an exchange for the length of time that it takes to do the transaction, and then you move your money off of the exchange back to your Treasure wallet or your Ledger Nano wallet. That way, it's beyond the reach of hackers. It's beyond the reach of government. It's beyond the reach of law enforcement. It's beyond the reach of the IRS, okay? So anyway, no one's mentioning this in the Economist articles, and they know very well. The reason is because they don't want you guys to know that we've resolved these problems, and we're working on other features and benefits and things for you guys to take advantage of. They're implementing more features and things in like Lightning Network, Snore signatures, ZK snarks, all of these technologies are going to enhance security, enhance privacy, enhance portability, and such. But again, the Economist is not going to mention all these things because it wants to write a stupid, biased, one-sided article, which is an insult to our intelligence, right? The answer to that is yes. But regardless of Bitcoin's issues, its impact is undeniable. Bitcoin has spawned a horde of imitators, says the Economist. It's given rise to a so-called token economy where thousands of cryptocurrencies have been launched in the past few years and different kinds of crypto-based digital assets have been created. Most are likely to quickly disappear, but others are trying to fix some of Bitcoin's key issues, like its wild price fluctuations. Well, regarding the price fluctuations, I wouldn't consider that mainly a negative right now, mainly because when you have a new asset class that's competing against larger asset classes, what happens typically is the billions and trillions of dollars that flow in and out of the larger asset classes are going to push the prices around. Again, because Bitcoin is very new and its market capitalization is averaging around $200 billion. But the assets that are in gold and currencies, fiat currencies, commodities, derivatives, bonds or whatever, those asset classes, the amounts of money are rated in the hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars. So whenever you have even a small amount of money coming from those markets into the crypto space, of course you're going to get volatility. But that volatility is going to be dampened over time. And one of the things you guys will be complaining about is lack of volatility, especially for those who are trying to make a profit. So remember, there are two sides of every coin. Some people are going to want and thrive on volatility, like traders and speculators and such. And some people, they're going to want volatility. They're going to want lack of volatility, like merchants and retailers or people who are retiring or something. So anyway, we'll invent the tools to dampen volatility, and that's being addressed. Excuse the noise. But that's a natural evolution that's taking place anyway, dealing with the volatility issue. Okay, we got a few planes going over. Regarding the other digital assets like the altcoins, it doesn't hurt to have a diversified portfolio, by the way. I have altcoins. I've diversified by using a small percentage of my profits to get into some of the other altcoins. You have the Litecoins, you have the Bcash, which was given to us for free, by the way, because of this spin-off from Bitcoin. But yeah, the Ethereum, the Litecoins, the Neos, the XRMs, the BitShares, all of these altcoins, they play a role in your portfolio. They give you some exposure to the upside, while at the same time, because a number of us have used excess profits from Bitcoin to diversify into those altcoins, it's basically a free diversification that we get to take advantage of. What else is mentioned in here? Bitcoin's volatility is partly a result of not being backed by any real-world assets. Well, thank goodness for that. We don't need to tie Bitcoin to manipulated gold or fiat that's basically printed excessively and has no tangible anything backing it. So a lot of that doesn't make any sense at all. That's what we're trying to get away from. Taking something that's designed to stand on its own and backing it by something that's manipulated doesn't make sense. Moving right along. This is also the case with many other cryptocurrencies, but it's possible to design cryptocurrencies whose overriding objective is to maintain a stable value by being pegged to physical assets and or fiat currencies. An example is digital trade coin, an asset-backed digital currency being developed as part of MIT's Connection Science Initiative. This is also bullshit. Anything coming out of MIT Besides it not being used by anyone, it again has a central figure, a central authority, a central team that can be compelled to make sure it doesn't have all the attributes that make countries like Venezuela, Argentina, even citizens of China, Mongolia, Marshall Islands. No one wants something that's going to ultimately be controlled and surveilled and monitored and has restrictions and back doors built into it. That doesn't make any sense, okay? I guarantee you that ultimately people are going to take a look at these attributes, particularly outside the United States. They make a big difference. If some government finds out that you're using a cryptocurrency that they can block or restrict or revoke or something, you're going to be back to square one as far as where you started off with the fiat currencies. So hands down, definitely on digital trade coin coming out of MIT. When Satoshi Nakamoto stepped away from Bitcoin, that was the world's best invention, coming out with something and stepping away from it and releasing it into the wild. You can't duplicate that, okay? There is no one to go to now. There is no Satoshi Nakamoto that's going to be held accountable to the FBI or the CIA or the law enforcement or anyone, okay? So you can't duplicate that anymore, you guys. That's key. That's the key difference. Having no Satoshi Nakamoto. That's what you want. Moving right along. Other crypto-based projects have generalized Bitcoin's original ideas beyond electronic cash and payments. Ethereum, for example, has developed a public blockchain-based distributed computing platform where applications called smart contracts are executed under predefined circumstances, thus reducing the need for intermediaries. Ethereum's cryptocurrency, the Ether, is used to compensate the owner of whichever computer platform ends up running the smart contract. I own some Ethereum. Just a word of advice. Don't put all your money in Ethereum. It's just one out of all of the other altcoins that you should have. I'll just leave it at that. Initial coin offerings are another related application which emerged as a means of raising capital for crypto-based startups by going directly to investors, thus avoiding the regulations causing delays of dealing with the traditional intermediaries like VCs, banks, and stock exchanges. The ICO issuer creates crypto tokens using an existing blockchain-based platform like Ethereum, then sells them to investors and potential customers to raise money for developing its offering. If the offering is successful, the associated tokens will hopefully rise in value. Tokens can also be used to reward users who contribute data, computing power, or other assets, as is the case with Endor's EDR. Cash is pouring in, notes the Economist. According to one estimate, by early August, 706 ICOs had raised almost $18 billion from a mix of institutional investors and individuals this year. That compares with just 221 ICOs in the whole of 2017, raising just $3.7 billion. ICOs have democratized the ability of projects to crowdfund themselves, but their current lack of regulations increases the risk to investors. For now, even honest ICOs are living in an uncomfortable legal limbo. How about blockchain, the technology underpinning Bitcoin and just about all cryptocurrencies? The advantages of blockchains are often oversold, said the Economist. In fact, 3 years ago, the Economist itself was guilty of precisely such overselling when it featured blockchain in the cover of its October 31st, 2015 issue with the tagline, "The Trust Machine, How the Technology Behind Bitcoin Could Change the World." Well, again, this just points to the idea that economists really shouldn't be in the business of predicting future technology. Very few people understood the impact of the internet, including the economists. Very few people understood the impact of fiber optics when it first came out as a way of addressing supposedly overwhelming amount of data flowing over the internet. Okay, now you have fiber optic companies they have fiber optic cables laying around totally unused because the hype got ahead of itself. Very few people anticipated, the impact of railroads, a number of different things when they first came out. Speculative money flowing into hot areas is something that's as natural as breathing and it's going to provide a lot of excess capital. Some of it will be deployed for very good reasons. A lot of it will be deployed for very useless and stupid reasons. But that's the nature of speculation and a byproduct of capitalism. Moving right along. Overselling is often the case with just about all promising technologies. This is why Gardner came up with its hype cycle, where all the excitement and publicity accompanying a new exciting technology often leads to inflated expectations, followed by disillusionment if the technology fails to deliver. For the past few years, blockchain has appeared in Gardner's yearly hype cycles, but so have deep learning, IoT platforms, virtual assistants, and other highly promising technologies. It's also not unusual for the hype to get out of hand and lead to situations like the AI winter in the 1980s and the dot-com bubble a decade later. So the cautionary remarks about blockchain should be heeded. Like the internet until the early to mid-1990s, blockchain is still in its early stages, with pilots underway in a number of application domains like supply chain ecosystems and industries, including financial services. When they add an extra layer of security to things like financial accounts or official documents, they could be useful, says The Economist in its concluding article. Well, just so you guys will know, God, I don't know how to put this. Proper use of the blockchain is essential. Not everything needs to be on a blockchain, okay? Unfortunately, corporate America is stamping these hot taglines onto every press release and article they come out with, even trying to rebrand old technologies. But you can't do that with the blockchain. You really should not be disillusioned about what's going to be integrated using the blockchain and what's not. Some things are ideal for decentralized, censorship-resistant technology. Some things aren't, okay? Moving right along. Finally, I particularly agree with the special report's concluding paragraph. Other compelling uses may yet emerge, but it's worth bearing in mind that big IT projects, which is what blockchains amount to, tend to be cumbersome and slow, even if they're undertaken by a single company. If they require several companies to work together, they will take even longer. So whatever happens, blockchain's backers will need patience. That last part is very, very misleading, mainly because, again, Bitcoin and blockchain work together. If you separate them, you defeat the whole purpose of what they both represent. And not only should blockchain's backers be patient, but Bitcoin's backers should be patient. That includes Morgan Stanley. That includes Goldman Sachs. That includes Fidelity Investments. That includes JP Morgan Chase. All of these major financial institutions, believe it or not, are still going forward as quickly as ever with their Bitcoin-based projects. I don't know why, again, The Economist is not making a mention of the fact that there's not a single financial institution that has at least $50 billion that doesn't want to do custodial services for Bitcoin investors. That includes institutional and retail. Okay, no one wants to be left out, you guys. So don't let this article dissuade you into thinking that Bitcoin is not striving and going forward with just as much progress, just as much zeal as it did when it first came out. Okay, the infrastructure is coming together. Okay, but again, when you're trying to overturn an economic model that has been in existence for a couple of hundred years or something, it ain't going to happen as quickly as you like it to happen. But again, keeping it safe, secure, keeping it redundant, keeping it peer-to-peer, keeping it censorship-resistant and such, that's important. So, again, don't take for granted what it has to offer, particularly when me and my wife, every single day, she's going to be going out to the farmers markets and different stores or whatever, running errands, she's going to use Bitcoin. The merchants don't know that she's using it. The merchants don't care. But the credit card that we're using, the Shift and the BitPay, is going to handle that conversion quickly. So we got a lot of value. Like you can have a lot of value stored up in Bitcoin. And if it's $50,000, $100,000, or $1 million that you have access to in your Bitcoin wallets, that's real value that you're unlocking every day for gas and groceries and food and articles of clothing or whatever, okay? So to say it's useless is stupid and insulting to your intelligence, and it's definitely insulting to mine to think that there's a problem with this somehow. Anyway, we're going to conclude this particular session like we conclude the other sessions. We're going to say you guys have a great day and keep your eyes and ears open and be careful out there and have a great day. Thank you.